You're listening to Podcast PXN,
a video game podcast,
delivering player experience news.
Let's go! The only limit to my freedom is the inevitable closure of the universe, as inevitable as your own last breath. And welcome to Podcast PXN, episode 288. I am one of your hosts, Daniel Prindle, aka Dan is DTM on Twitter, and I am joined over Discord by the Nintendo aficionado and hardcore casual himself, Roshan Warner, at Roro.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Welcome back.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
We are also joined by the man who is creating some really crazy wipe transitions, and that is the host of Large Popcorn and video producer at The Gamer, Christian Macias, at ISO Christian.
If the government could read my mind, I also would be in El Salvador. I'd be in jail.
All right.
Jesus.
And the reformed Tarkov Teletubby and my fellow Spartan, Gage Dempster, at Gilbo Biggins. Just the silent salute.
Silent salute.
All right. Thank you to everyone watching us live and participating in the chat. Just as a reminder, we are live each and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on youtube.com/@podcastpxn and twitch.tv/podcastpxn as well. The topic of the show this week, guys, is Bungie has unveiled Marathon. We have all of the details, and we are going to go into all of those details here in just a minute, as well as our thoughts on the reveal event and what we think is going to happen when Marathon launches on a date that we'll reveal here in a second. All right. So Marathon has been revealed. The lead up to the reveal event, I just want to start here because it's interesting because I saw a couple of like loud minority of people that were like,
Well, what are you trying to say?
What do you mean?
Oh, here we go. Don't fall for the bait. Keep going.
Oh, you fuck. I saw a loud, small amount of people that were fucking losing or saying that oh my god, it was so cool that you got to control a robot through the studio. This shit was fucking insane. The entire lead up to this reveal event, like from the past week before, where they were doing all the ARG stuff to reveal the trailer to announce the date for the reveal stuff, that was awesome. But then 24 hours before the event started, they spun up their Twitch stream with a bunch of cameras that were like decrypted or crypted. Sorry, I don't know. Encrypted. Fuck, I couldn't think of the word. They were all encrypted with different like visual styles and visual aesthetics going on, and basically the community had to figure out how to decrypt each camera as the time went on. And every 10 minutes, it put up a Twitch poll where you would vote for these things, where the whole community had to figure out what was going on and how to decrypt these cameras. That shit was fucking awesome. I love seeing like community engagement type stuff like that. And that led up all the way up to 2 hours before the show. And then 2 hours before the show, people pieced together, or I'm sorry, also the previous day, they put together this map from these pieces that they decrypted as well. The map ended up being a map of Bungie's studio, which then the next day, 2 hours before the event started, Bungie had people go to their website and log in with this username and password and basically hack into the system, control a robot that got out of a fucking box in Bungie's studio and drive it around Bungie's studio until they got to the reveal event, following the map that they gave. And everyone in the Twitch chat was using commands to control this robot. It was just fucking awesome. I love that kind of stuff, and I think it's really cool that they're continuing to do stuff like this.
I'm gonna say something, Dan. Don't get mad at me. I'm joking. I agree with you. Pageantry is cool, and fan interaction is even cooler. And I think people who are being, I guess, curmudgeons about it is kind of whack. Like, I think in an increasingly ironic era, sincerity is a good thing. And like this to me from the outset, because I didn't participate, looked like a fun way to have interaction. If there's a wrong way to do pageantry, I think about the like Avengers cast announcement that was like an hours long
Right.
live stream of the back of chairs, and like that's not fun and engaging. But doing something where like you're unlocking stuff before like a trailer announcement a couple days before that goes live is like only cool, and it's like how would you put this? It is typical Bungie of them to do something that like requires people coming together. Like that's what they have been doing since like, you know, their other games, and I'm sure this will happen again with Marathon. We'll talk about that, but like, yeah, I agree. This is more of this stuff is a good thing, and we should have more of that.
1000%. I've only experienced the Destiny ARGs that they've done, but those were always exciting whenever they came up because they were always really cool. Some were smaller than others. They were all smaller, to my knowledge, to this, but that just means that they're leveling up and finding new ways to engage their audience, as Christian was saying. But yeah, I love it. I don't know. I don't understand how this could be seen as bad, but the internet has surprised us all in many different ways. But yeah, I thought it was really cool what they did. I didn't participate in it either, as I said, but watching from the outside, it looked cool, looked neat.
Yeah, this is. I mean, Dan and I talked about this off the podcast, and then, like it takes me back to like old school Bungie days, where like for me, the first ARG that I had any experience with was going all the way back to the I Love Bees stuff with Halo 2. But it's cool to see Bungie kind of doing what they do best, which, as Christian said, is like getting the community together to rally around something and share that excitement, which is only a good thing, I think.
It's like it's free like building anticipation. Like it's only used to like build anxiety and hype around the product you're like trying to launch. Like, come on.
Yeah, and
and what's cool? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good.
I was gonna say, what's cool about this too is that it can only be genuine excitement too, because you can't manufacture this, right? They could put if nobody cared, they could drop an ARG and just nobody would solve it, right? But you're extending an olive branch and you're allowing the fan base to get excited about something, and the excitement and all the stuff that follows is only genuine because it's derived from the fans participating in this.
Yeah, and it's actually kind of funny because some of the people that were participating, some of the streamers that were participating in this, were actually talking about like how they actually enjoy doing like the ARG itself sometimes more than the actual game that ends up coming out, which is like it's super funny to say, but it's like it is really cool to like participate in unique experiences like this, and almost becomes a game itself, so to speak. It was also interesting because the person that is the lead, I can't remember her name, the lead for the ARG stuff at Bungie, she said that it took them 6 months to prep all of this and have it all ready to go, which is not surprising considering how in-depth it was, but very cool, and cool to see from her and her team.
Can I say? We talk a lot of shit about the industry, about the video game industry. It kind of rocks that there's like a department at a video game studio that is paid to do stuff like this, and like the studio does not compromise on outsourcing or letting these people go for the sake of like making sure the budget doesn't go over. Like this kind of stuff is mandatory to making. Like, again, it's not just the thing; it's the stuff around the thing that I think matter, the small things. So that's cool.
And I do think some of that and some of the reason why Bungie is still the way it is as it was 20 years ago is because of Jason Jones, the co-founder of the studio, because he has been there obviously since the beginning, and he leads all creative aspects of the studio. He has no he has no decisions or weigh in on decisions necessarily for the business side of Bungie. He gave that up a long time ago, but creatively, he is the guy at Bungie, and it feels like stuff like this is a result of him like pushing, wanting that sort of engaging content, which is very cool. But let us jump into the actual reveal here. I linked a post here from Shinobi because he had a very nice, in-depth recap of everything that happened, because there is a lot, and I started to like conglomerate stuff from a bunch of sources all together, and I'm like, this is gonna be freaking ridiculous. And thankfully he tweeted this out, and this makes it a lot easier to go through. So thank you to Shinobi602 on Twitter, because he is a legend. He's got it all consolidated here. So what was that reaction for? What happened?
How much are you going to go through this? Because I have thoughts on gameplay reveal, and I think some of the stuff that he's saying is stuff that was said after gameplay reveal. That's like written like near the top.
Oh, okay.
You get me?
Yeah, that's fair. Do you want to wait to talk about the whole post then, or do you want to talk about initial reactions first?
Me personally, I would love to do some initial reactions.
Sure. Yeah.
Like via like the stream, the actual reveal stream. What was it, Saturday morning around 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern?
Yep. Yeah, sure. Start us off. What were your initial thoughts?
I have to start.
Yeah, why not?
I can't remember the order, but I know there was a gameplay trailer show, and then there was the overview after. That's like the longer 6-minute dive.
Yep.
Somewhere in there was, I can't remember if it was after or before. I'm sorry. Was the Alberto Mielgo short?
Yes, that was at the end. The last video.
Okay, we want to talk. Should we wait until the end to get to that?
That's up to you. I mean, we can.
We can wait. We'll wait.
All right.
I want to abide by your structure.
Okay. There's no structure here.
Oh, then I don't want to go first. Okay, just go run through Shinobi stuff. I'm nervous.
You're fine. All right. How about just talk? All right, I'll start us off. Initial reactions to everything that Bungie showed. So that means the cinematic trailer, the gameplay trailer, everything. What were your initial reactions to that? Yeah. Yes, Twitch streamers. My initial reaction was, I think it looks very interesting, and I'm still very excited to actually get my hands on it and actually play it, because Bungie, to me, has never made a game that I don't love gameplay wise. Like everything that I play of theirs, I absolutely adore gameplay wise. And I think that the truest form of this game is going to come down to the gameplay, because this game is inevitably going to be, or going to try to be, a more accessible extraction shooter. And whether it succeeds on that or not will be something we'll have to wait and see what happens. But I think it's a very interesting idea to kind of take a broader look of the genre and say, how can we make things more accessible to make this a more popular genre for the masses, so to speak? And for me, that's exciting, because the reason why Tarkov is very intimidating to me is because there's so many systems and so many things going on, and so many wind metrics, and I don't know. There's maybe not even that. I'm just fucking making shit up at this point. But like, there's a lot of intricate detail that I feel like gets lost on someone like me that just wants to hop in and play for a little bit and then hop back out. So I think what's most interesting about Marathon specifically is you can take these bite-sized 25-minute matches, jump in, do something cool, jump out, and then you get rewarded for that and then continue the cycle. So far, everything that I saw in the gameplay reveal trailer, I am pretty excited for, generally speaking, and I just want to honestly get my hands on it at this point. Who else? Who else wants to go?
Exemption?
What?
Okay, coming from Tarkov land, my thoughts on this is that this looks fresh, and I'm mostly optimistic. I think a big thing for me from that I saw from the gameplay that has me excited is that it doesn't seem like it's very twitchy or fast paced. It seems like it has that classic Bungie style, which is that like positioning, health management strategy is going to be the key to winning gunfights, and that's something that separates it from. I mean, even Tarkov can get a little bit like that, where patches will change certain things, and now the new meta will be jumping around corners and doing this, and it's stuff that when you're playing a game like an extraction shooter that has such high risk, high reward, you want the conditions for winning and losing a battle to be as close to skill based as possible. You don't really want all these variables that can just ruin your night. So seeing the classic Bungie kind of slower paced gameplay was exciting to me, because Destiny, I've been out of the Destiny loop, right? But it's kind of been hot and cold, and it feels like every few months the fan base would be like, "Oh, it's so over, and we're so back." So like, I didn't know if Marathon would be like a big swing for the fences, where they're like, "Oh, maybe let's just do what's popular right now," because we really need this one to win. And I'm very happy from everything that I saw that it seems like this still has that classic Bungie feel, for better or for worse.
Who's here? What was that?
That scared me.
Is it Buck?
Doors are being opened.
To jumping off what Gage is saying about it being more, and you could correct me if I'm wrong if I misinterpreted what you said, but being slower than Destiny, gameplay wise, correct?
No, sorry, slower than like other extraction shooters, I meant to say.
Okay. Because I would say, like, I was looking at the gameplay trailer, I was like, I was so excited because it looked like Crucible Destiny to me, and just like
It looked like Trials.
yeah, which is cool to me. And I the guns, I'm going before Christian because I'm assuming he's going to have a little bit more to say about it than I do, because I just want to talk about how it looks. And I love the art and the art style, and it reminds me of my favorite art from Destiny, which is like the Clovis Bray Mars, like futuristic stuff. And that was my favorite shit to see in expansions, and it didn't happen often. So the fact that they're doing an entire game kind of ripping off their own art style, but it just being everywhere is just like really exciting. And I think that's a lesson, or not a lesson, but something that has been lacking in a lot of these types of games, is the artistic style and setting themselves apart from the other ones. Concord failed in that regard, and a lot of others have as well. So they have at least that going for them, where it looks beautiful to play. And the guns remind me a lot of the exotic guns from Destiny. Like which it's not exclusive to Bungie or Destiny, but the way that a character like rolls a gun, like it's spun like the Last Word or the Chaperone. It's like, oh, it's just stuff like that that gives it that little touch that will be fun to play moment to moment. There's always something going on the screen. So yeah, I'm excited to play it. Honestly, it wasn't something that I thought I would be excited to play, but after seeing the gameplay trailer, I was like, oh, this looks sick.
And it's funny, you both were talking about it reminding you of Destiny Crucible, and there's probably a very good reason for that, which is a lot of the people that worked on Destiny's Crucible moved over to Marathon to make this, and that's partially why Crucible, I think, has gone to shit lately, because all of these people moved over to Marathon, including Lars Bakken, who's been there for a long time, since the Halo days. And he's one of the leads for Marathon. So it's very, very interesting. Christian, what you got? What are you thinking about?
I do have a lot to say. I've been thinking about this game for the past couple of days, trying to get my mind around where I stand. Only because I think the reactions online have been more towards the extremes, which I'll mention. But yeah, right off the rip though, I had to cannot understate enough, or underline enough to what Ro just said. Cannot believe that people are talking about the art direction the way they are about this game, calling it like washed, or like comparisons to other games. We'll get there. It's in the note thing as well. I don't know, man. I think in terms of presentation and art style, I think this is probably one of the strongest things it has going for it. There are not a lot of games on the market like this. People comparing it to the finals, I think, are even a little bit off the mark because maybe some of the same energy is there in terms of presentation, but like these art styles are totally different. Regarding just the gameplay trailer and then the gameplay overview that Bungie gave on Saturday, I am closer to where Gage is at, despite also agreeing with everything that Dan is saying. I'll get there. I think it was an underwhelming first reveal, an understanding first look at the game in terms of trying to sell it to a major audience. Because for so long, we knew the art direction was going to be strong, and we knew it was going to be an extraction shooter. And so for me, I'm thinking, okay, what are you going to do? Bungie, the multiplayer pedigree people that you are, to get me into a new extraction shooter that's going to be different. And based on what I saw, I didn't see enough to inform me why this is a different extraction shooter. In fact, it from everything I've gotten post reveal, which we'll talk about, it actually sounds like more of the same extraction shooters that are already on the market. I know you talked about how it is a more accessible extraction shooter in comparison to Tarkov. Right on. I made a joke about Shroud. He said that one thing that I kind of agree with, though, is that like the reason why Tarkov sticks around is because there's a niche audience, niche being the qualifier here, that like loves friction in their game. And the reason why they love a new refresh is because that sense of friction stays, and that's what makes the game so interesting and engaging, is that level of friction to like get into the game. The overcorrection that I think Call of Duty had with DMZ made it a not interesting extraction shooter at all because there were no stakes. And I would love to know what makes Marathon stand out or stand in between these two. And based on what I've gotten, I didn't get that from the overview. I got that from articles after the fact that I wish was shown off to me in video format that I can see in real time. I want to know what the meta progression is looking like. I want to know why am I invested in playing Marathon. Price argument aside, which we'll get to as well. I just know why you want me to play the game and what makes your game different. Luke Stevens talked about this game recently about maybe I think Sony might be publishing this game. I think they own Bungie now. I can't remember details anymore, but he was talking about maybe because Sony owns them and they've spent so long on this game and it's an expensive game that maybe Sony pushed them to reveal the game earlier. There might be an aspect to that as well, but I also don't think it's entirely true because they spent so long again on the ARG, the presentation of the thing, preparations for pre-alpha, that it seems like this was kind of a planned thing, and I don't think they were rushing to announce this. All this to say, I wanted to mention this as well. There's a lot of comparisons out there to the Cycle Frontier, this game Marathon, and to that I say I think it is crazy that a small game like the Cycle Frontier took a lot of a fresher take gameplay wise to an extraction shooter, and that game ended up dying after a year or so. And then the worry is Marathon has a much higher budget, and people are not as open to spending $40 on it, and that could be a big worry. All this to say, though, again, sorry, this is where I'm trying to lead into, is could not agree with you more, Dan, on at the end of the day, this game is a multiplayer game being made by Bungie, and they know how to make a game feel good to play. More so, they also know what makes a multiplayer game interesting, which is all the secret stuff and the things when you get into it and they're uncovering lore and uncovering gameplay mechanics, raid type stuff. That we won't know until we actually get our hands on the game. So what I'm trying to say is there's no real way to kind of showcase that off in a reveal. So I think when people are spouting rhetoric online about how this game is dead on arrival and does not look interesting, are jumping, what is the idiom here? They're talking way too soon because we haven't even gotten our hands on the sticks yet. in a different world, I would have gotten some more information and more gameplay videos to showcase why I should be playing an extraction shooter from Bungie. And in an even better world, I think we would have had a lead up straight into the pre-alpha after the reveal. That way we have actual people with their hands on the game talking to us about it in real time and seeing clips from it, over the course of the next few days or even a week after the reveal. That could give us more insight and lead us to have more informed conversations about the game. Because now I think Bungie is running the risk of people are really negative about the game, and now PR has to worry about whelming those and winning them back over when it should have been a slam dunk reveal. So that's where I'm at. Optimistic about where the game is going to be because I know Bungie's history, but also didn't see enough to convince me on Saturday.
One thing I did see that Shroud clip that you're talking about, and talking about creating friction, and that that's part of what makes Tarkov successful, which I do agree with that to an extent. But what I also think about when it comes to that is we go back to when PUBG was the biggest thing in the world at the time, and I say biggest thing, it never reached mass numbers. It did very well, and Fortnite came along and did something very similar, but did it in a more simplified way, and it ended up being extremely successful. And that's kind of the mindset that I'm thinking Bungie's going with here. Not that it's necessarily right or wrong. I'm sure there's going to be people that play Escape from Tarkov that won't necessarily jive with Marathon, and I think that's okay. I don't think that Bungie is necessarily trying to create exactly Escape from Tarkov. I think that their aspirations are much larger than just getting the players that play Escape from Tarkov, if that makes sense.
And to your point earlier, Christian, I think the reveal, they were kind of damned if they do, damned if they don't, because if you were to get into if you were to try to explain the sort of smaller components of the game that separate it from other extraction shooters, I feel like in the process of doing that, you would lose the casual audience. You kind of have to come out of the gate with a very generic premise of this is, because if I were to these competitors to Tarkov that come out, when they're pitching themselves as to why you should play that game instead of Tarkov, it's a total snooze fest. It's you have to be somebody who's already excited about extraction shooters to even not only understand what they're talking about, but to actually be excited about it. The difference between exfil and infill, and our loot system does this and that. If they were to come out with a big grand reveal and get into the nitty gritty of all that, I feel like a lot of people would have just been sleeping. A lot of the casual people that are kind of looking at this as oh, is this the next big Bungie game? What's it about? So I'm hoping that you said, the articles that were released afterwards had a lot more specifics and talked about meta progression and stuff that you actually wanted to hear. I'm hoping the next gameplay deep dive we get, because they've done the kind of generic show of hey, this is the new game, this is the art style, this is what the gameplay and gunplay looks like. I'm hoping the next time we see this game, it can kind of be more of that. Okay, now that we've done the main sort of show for the casual audience, here's the specifics of how meta progression works and how your raids will affect other raids in XYZ.
I got a counterpoint. Because I think a reveal like this is when you have most eyes on your product. And the stream after the gameplay overview was 3 guys on a couch talking for 20 minutes before we saw gameplay again.
That's true.
And that whole time was just talking details about what makes some of the extraction shooter that they're making more intricate, like this stuff. But there was no game to screen where we could see that. And I think about trailers like the first time we saw the Division, what was it, that black zone or whatever in the Division, and when they were finishing their mission, another team came up and then killed them or whatever. Or no, it's that guy turned around and killed his teammates and then ended up exfilling with all that stuff. That to me was 45 seconds of gameplay, and I knew exactly what kind of gameplay loop I was going to get into. Whereas this is built as an extraction shooter, and they didn't focus that much on the extraction aspect of it.
Right.
I think also Bungie historically has loved to put together vidocs for their games, and I feel like this would have been a more appropriate time to release a first vidoc that is a well put together and well presented first look at the game as the opening to the reveal event. Because, like you're saying, Christian, I agree with you that them sitting on the couch and talking for 20 minutes was very difficult for players to like grasp and understand, like the casual audience. So like their vidocs are always like very well understood and well put together, to where they have little clips of people talking and then they show a lot of gameplay. And I feel like something put together like that at the start of the show would have made a huge difference, and then go into the couch talk and then the gameplay and all of that. So yeah, I do agree that there was maybe a little bit of opportunity lost there. Sorry?
That's when you say but, and then
But.
you pull up your little list,
But.
your little Shinobi list.
Well, before we go into that, do you want to talk about the cinematic trailer?
I would love to. Can I for a second?
Yeah, talk about
For me, this is a really interesting thing that I can't. It complicates my stance on the game. This is one of the greatest things they could do to build anticipation for their like rebrand of the IP, was hiring this man to do one of the coolest shorts ever made for a game. It was impressive. It was awesome. And it's causing people to make not remixes, like edits, fan edits of the both of the game and of the short. This guy, dude, this fucking guy.
I love looking for your eyes to go to the bottom left.
It pops up, dude. Oh, that's so funny. Where was I?
The
what was I
edits,
saying?
The edits. That
Yes,
the edits, and
culture.
and then what that does also, like, it also informs like sort of the lore of what the game is trying to do. I think that stuff is so good. The one thing that really sucks about this is to have this, for me, be the most impressive thing about the game, and then to not have the game sort of center anywhere close to that, because it goes back to like, well, this is an extraction shooter. It will not have stuff like this. It will not have the presentation that this video has. And I don't know, like, there's no like narrative aspect of it. So like, I don't know how much more things like that we'll get. And it turns out that was actually the thing that was actually getting me most interested in the IP was his short. And so my big question mark is like, well, okay, the Bungie is really good at doing like cinematics, and they're great at lore. Granted, in time, we'll find out when the actual game releases. But as of now, is a big question mark for me. Like, how do you get me this involved into the gameplay aspect of it when this other thing over here was so strong? I think one of the things this watching this too, that and then the gameplay overview and the Twitch streams was like, wow, the art direction for this is so impressive that when I go back to the game that they're showing, I was talking to Gage about this. I was like, damn, it kind of sucks that they chose the Dire Marsh map to show off for their big gameplay overview, because I guess how would you say this? The environment of the swamp leads to a lot of the color grade in the game coming off as flat. And so you have like this hyper stylized video that looks really cool and pops a lot, and then gameplay that does not pop in comparison. I was like, that's unfortunate, because I know they have more maps that they like are leaning more towards the Alberto Mielgo short. But it was I've been thinking about the short since Saturday. It was so cool.
Yeah, actually, a lot of the streamers that went and played the game even said that they're like, Bungie didn't even show like the best map. Like there's 3 maps at launch, which we'll talk about here in a minute. They didn't even show the best one, which is interesting. And I was with you. I thought the cinematic was incredible, but it does lead me to one of my things that I am not necessarily huge on, which is that the game doesn't have a single player story. It doesn't have that catch. But what I will say is Bungie is really good at incorporating story elements into their multiplayer, and I would not be surprised if they have some cool stuff in here. And in fact, I know they do, because one of the biggest Bungie story lore fans in the world, and Halo as a result, Hidden Xperia, I watched his 30-minute video after he got to play Marathon, and he's been playing it for the past 2.5 years. He saw like early iterations of it. He said that like there's a lot of lore and story stuff that were from the original games that he didn't even expect to be in the game, and he thought that was super cool. So very interested to see that kind of stuff as well.
It reminded me of like seeing the Concord reveal, and they had like this giant cinematic trying to like build characters, like, you know, before they showed the gameplay, and I was like, oh,
new trailer every week. That's what they said, right?
The dichotomy of it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't believe I did this.
All right. There's a lot here. I'm going to try and go through a lot of this because there is a lot of information here that is important. But stop me at any point if you want to stop on something. So Marathon, this is from Shinobi 602, by the way. It is a team-based extraction shooter set on Tau Ceti IV4, yes.
4.
You can scavenge remains of a lost colony for glory and fortune, which essentially the ship Marathon. Marathon is the ship that was built in Deimos. Essentially, it's like breaking apart and falling on this planet, and they're trying to scavenge for the stuff that's coming from that. So the original trilogy takes place on the Marathon ship. And then the launch it's coming to PS5, Xbox Series S and X, and PC on September 23rd, which let's just stop there for 1 second. It is the same day as Borderlands 4. Is Randy Pitchford shaking in his boots?
I don't know. I don't know if there's a lot of crossover. Do you
I
think?
don't think so. Yeah, I don't think
I think this
crossover.
because this is one of the things that I saw people
Yeah.
bringing up online, where it's like, oh, this is launching on the same day, and I'm like, I don't. It's a non-issue. I think you've got those two separate fan bases, and people playing Tarkov are not itching to get into Borderlands 4. I'm just saying.
Right. And Borderlands 4 looks increasingly like just your average sequel. I mean, it's not that exciting. I'm sure that it'll do well, but yeah. This game will be a premium product, meaning not free to play, which then they did clarify because people started to like make some crazy ass fucking assertions saying that this game was going to be a $70 game. It is not a $70 game, as confirmed by Bungie. They said it will be a premium product, but it will not be a full price product. So obviously it's probably going to land in that same Concord / Helldivers 2 price point of around $40, I would bet.
Right.
Which, you know, to be fair, there's positives and negatives to having a $40 price point. One of the positives that, you know, I would say would be you have less cheating being attempted because you have to pay for a $40 game every time in order to do that. So it does help in that aspect, not being free to play.
They're also doing the Helldivers thing, having it be a premium product and a game with a battle pass.
That's true.
Although I think that's been happening a long time before Helldivers did that. Like,
oh yeah. There's
Call
other
of Duty's been
examples.
doing that for years, right?
Right. Yes. Unfortunately, I don't think we're ever gonna get away from that.
No.
So, weapons and movement feels crisp, fluid, and incredibly satisfying in that rarefied way that few studios can achieve, which we already talked about a little bit of Bungie's feel. There will be 3 maps, 6 runner classes at launch, and more to follow post-launch, which I know for a fact within 30 days they will have a 4th map. I've listened to a bunch of podcasts where they were interviewing people from the studio. So with that in mind and the $40 price point, what are your guys' thoughts on, like, is there value there at $40 for 3 maps, 6 runners at launch?
How'd I put this? I don't think map quantity represents the quality of the final product. I think when people are so quick to say, like, oh, 3 maps, this game is cooked, it's like, okay, well, like, it is not that kind of game. These maps are going to be big. They're going to be like, I mean, they're made with like, they're not like procedural maps or anything. They're like going to be well designed maps with plenty of stuff to like find in there. A lot of places where action is going to go down. Like, there's also the PvE element. Like, it's enough to have variety while still focusing on emergent gameplay. And as long as that level of quality is high, then that's absolutely no problem. Having a 4th is great soon after launch because it keeps, you try it out for a little while, and then after maybe a couple of weeks of trying it, maybe you feel like you might bounce out. They introduce the next map, and you certainly have player retention. And I think I was reading that the plan was to do like 1 new map a year, which we'll see long term how that holds out. But like, as for launch, I think it's good.
Okay.
I agree. I agree.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think we'll just have to wait and see. But I agree with what Christian said, that I don't think it means it's worthless or shouldn't be that price just because of how much of the maps that are releasing. If it was a $70 game, that would have been a different story. But I think the price point that they have it at is appropriate. I think. I would expect a little bit more maps if it was more expensive.
If this were a Call of Duty game and it launched with 3 maps, I'd be like, okay, well that's a worry.
Yeah.
But it's not that kind of game.
Yeah.
Yes, and there are plans to support the game with new maps, weapons, characters, and more as it goes on. Ranked play, endgame challenges, seasonal storytelling, secrets to discover, community events, all in Season 1 with more content coming, which specifically talking about the secrets thing, I know the dude who finished the original ARG for Marathon a couple years ago, he was invited to Bungie to test several times as well. I talked about Hidden Xperia had been as well. And he has been very openly talking and kind of walking a tightrope about how there's a lot of stuff that Bungie hasn't revealed yet about this game that people are going to be excited about. And one of those is the secrets. And he's been very vague on it, but he's like, this is what is the differentiating factor for this game. Like, I don't know why they haven't talked about this or shown this off, but this is the differentiating factor and why Marathon is so special, which has me excited to see what that actually ends up being. So you play as a runner, which is a cybernetic mercenary who's given up their human form for a biosynthetic shell with unique abilities and stats. We have all the runner types here, including a Locust, which is a soldier class for pushing forward and can use a shield. The Void class, which is a stealth sneak by undetected and use smoke grenades type character.
Is that Blackbird?
Yeah. That's Void, sorry. That's Void. The stealth character.
Oh, duh. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. Yeah, thank you.
No, you're not an idiot.
Thank you, yeah.
Blackbird is a reconnaissance-based runner that can find players positioning themselves better and more, which one of their abilities is basically to locate players through walls and stuff like that to better position players. And the Void class can go completely invisible, which is helpful until the Blackbird reveals them, and then you're fucked. That was supposed to be funny, guys. I appreciate the fake.
Oh my gosh.
All right. You can uncover secrets hidden in the wake of the original Marathon trilogy's events. How and where this overlaps or clashes with the original games is a story that will unfold over time. The objective is to get in, get as much loot as you can, and get out alive. If you die, your gear and loot will be up for grabs. Survive, and you can take your gear with you on future runs as you grow in power and fill your vault, just like any other extraction shooter. You can fight in a crew of up to 3 players with various map sizes, including up to 18 players. Which I have seen people complaining, saying they hope that Bungie changes this, because right now there's only the option to search in groups of 3. So if you're playing solo, that you're basically being matched with other people. And people would like to see like solo and duos added at some point.
Okay, I have 2 things to say about this.
Okay.
One, they didn't talk about this at all, but you can extrapolate this with the Twitch streamer videos, and then some commentators are talking about this. The game originally was designed to be more like Tarkov, with I think Tarkov is a persistent world or a persistent map, right, where you can jump in at like certain intervals, and you like jump in, and like there's already a lobby that people have already been there.
So no, it is matchmaking based. There is a persistent economy. So like when you go to the flea market, and like that's one of the selling features of Tarkov, is that, you know, if they change something about the economy in the game, then suddenly things are worth more. So like there is a persistence to it, but in terms of raids, it is a matchmaking based system.
Okay, then I have this wrong. Then what I read was that originally it was persistent.
They wanted to make it an MMO. That was their big pitch for Tarkov.
Yes.
It's never been that though, but they've wanted to make it that.
Sorry, for Marathon. They
Okay.
wanted that, and then in the gameplay testing, they found it wasn't fun because people had already been to the places, and you could never find the things to like do the mission that you want to do, or people would like camp and kill you. And they found that matchmaking felt more balanced and more fun, just to have everyone come at the same time. I think having a crew of up to 3 players and being matchmake with 2 others, if you are solo, and then it being 18 players, is something that is going to get maybe tweaked during pre-alpha beta, somewhere along there, just to see like how it is first when it's in with actual players, with a bunch of people testing it out, and then if they need to balance it and try new things, they can do that down the line. I don't know if that'll be that way forever.
Absolutely. I was gonna say something and I've completely forgot. I should have wrote it down. It was on. It was on the back of something you said. Forget it. It's gone. There are, just to jump in on that though, there are more like social features. Sorry, I just remembered what I was gonna say. So Tarkov has that thing where the community can control pricing. Like they have their own community store. Is that right, Gage? Where players can price things. Is that true?
No, so it's a looting based game, and once you get out of the raid, there is, I don't know if you guys ever played RuneScape back in the day, but it's almost identical to the stock exchange in RuneScape, where you can list the things you found in raid.
Yeah.
For the in-game, like it's only in-game money. It's not real world money, but you list it for the in-game money. And if Tarkov has a limited time event where suddenly you need to get a certain item, like it can make items that are normally like, you know, just scrap or useless suddenly skyrocket on the market. Exactly. So it has a dynamic economy that's player driven.
Which I like that. I like that idea, and that is one thing that Marathon does not have. They have a black market or whatever, but it's controlled by the developers. It's not a player driven market. So that is something that people have given feedback on, saying they would like to see that as well. But also, just while I'm thinking of it real quick, there's a lot of social features that people were hoping were going to be in this game that are not. And one big one that people have been talking about is proximity chat. And I know a lot of the people that play tested this game for the last 2 years have been telling them that and saying like they would like to see proximity chat. I don't know if we'll ever see it. to be honest, I would like to see it too. I think it would be very cool. But like many of their reasons why they don't and other developers don't do proximity chat are because of situations where they want to protect players from, I guess, toxic people, which I guess there should be ways to go around that, turn off the feature or have the option to turn off the feature for people that don't want that. It is kind of the situation where it's like you hate that a couple of bad eggs try to spoil the bunch. Yeah. I hope that it's a feature, but I just don't know if it's going to happen because it hasn't been in a Bungie game since Halo 2. Which is crazy.
At the risk of ostracizing myself here, I do wonder, like, does this game have a rating, by the way?
Does it have what?
Does it have a rating yet? Is it rated?
Oh, a rating.
Yes,
T, I think. It doesn't have a rating yet, but I'm assuming it's going to be T.
See,
okay, that changes things.
It does change things. If it's T,
well, but
then
online...
I can totally understand and get behind it. But the problem is that... What's that?
I was just going to say, online interactions, it doesn't affect the SRB rating.
True. I mean, this is the thing, is that it's a competitive shooter that... I don't know, like... I would say for a studio, it's more important for... As a player, it's more important for me that you guys have a well thought out and functioning reporting system than it is to try and solve problems,
right?
Or try and change the entire gameplay feel based on problems that might arise, as opposed to just dealing with the problems when they come up, which is having a detailed and easy to use reporting system. Because it's such an important, especially for a game. And people like to say it never happens, and I will say, like, as somebody who's put hundreds of hours in Tarkov, most of the time when you run into other players, you do just kind of shoot on sight. Like, that is the majority of the situation. But the problem is with extraction shooters, especially with games that have high risk, high reward, I do still regularly come across a player where you get into a shooting match, and then suddenly the person starts yelling from inside the house, wait, hold on. And then you start this little back and forth, and you have this cool little moment that you can only have in games like this. So it's like, not to fucking get back to my ringing the same bell of like toxic positivity, but it seems like we're taking a little bit of the fun out of it, and we're kind of like just throwing the baby out with the bathwater a little bit, where it's like, well, before anything bad happens, let's just cut this feature. And it's like, well, I'd rather you guys just have a really good reporting system and deal with the bad actors as they come up, as opposed to saying, well, Timmy was being silly, so now the whole class trip is canceled. It's like, well, this is a shooting game about killing other people and stealing their stuff. Like, we need to have a little bit of an allowance for, like, you know, trash talk and a little bit of toxicity to be allowed, because the game inherently is it's toxic. But I don't know.
With this logic, don't even release the game because there are cheaters out there.
That's true, and that's the thing, right? If you want to take it to its nth degree, this is why I never subscribe to these ideas that developers have, where it's like, okay, well, let's follow that pattern and then see where it leads. And you're right, we'll never release anything because somebody might be mean.
Fair points. There are also contextual pings, shared objectives, down but not out mechanics. The environments are filled with weapons, materials, items, resources, cores, keys, backpacks, and secrets to find. You can find things like backpacks that expand your inventory, powerful and unique weapons, consumables to heal yourself. Some of the weapons
Dan's gonna get really into these Tarkov-like systems, man, where like you get shot with a certain gun and you got to use a certain heal. Somebody's gonna be in it, huh? He was talking that shit about,
we're
like,
gonna get him into
I gotta get my
Tarkov.
bandage, I gotta use my septics, whatever. But like, this is gonna be the exact same thing.
No,
right.
They're not gonna have.
They're gonna have sci-fi names to them, but yeah, it's the same thing.
No, I don't think it's gonna get that in depth. I don't think they're gonna have.
You can see they're healed like 3 different ways in the gameplay overview in the Twitch streams.
Well, yeah, but you got bandages. There's many different like bandages versus
all
like
of a sudden,
injection. Well, yeah, but that's a lot of games have that, right? Like, there's games that I play that I enjoy the hell out of that have both bandages and syringes, and like, there's more than like Fallout, for instance. You eat a fucking banana and it gives you 5 health. You know?
We got him.
That's a good
We
point.
got him.
We are gonna get him. We are gonna get him. He's gonna be
We'll see.
T minus
We'll see.
T minus 1 year where they have him in a Tarkov match.
I'll try it out.
I'll be playing Marathon.
No, because you spend like $250 to play Tarkov, Dan. Don't
That's
listen
true.
to him.
That's
Oh,
true. Dan's not gonna want to go through the what's the sketchy site you got to use to buy it because it's a Russian.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
you got to
forget,
use some sort of service. Yeah.
No, I'm gonna.
I gotta do what now?
I'm gonna get the $250 version of Marathon.
Oh my god.
Okay, why?
I'm kidding. There's no such thing yet.
Yet.
Yes.
That was instinctual. That came from inside you because you know.
I tried to pull it back, and then I'm like, I can't. It's too late. All right. You can select your runner, strategically build your loadouts pre-match. Factions in the game can sponsor you and your loadout. You have the freedom to opt out of crew fill and take all the glory for yourself as a solo runner. So you can search solo, but it's going to be in you're going to be playing against teams of 3. That'd be rough. This is a quote. This is probably the best looking, best feeling extraction shooter ever made. Not easy for newcomers to the genre. Can be tough to get into, but one previewer was reluctant to put Marathon down. This is a good sign. The best thing I can say after any preview is that I want more, but big questions remain. Also, I'd say it's important to know who
Who the quote is from?
Yes, because there was actually a team that was fucking cracked. Like, the people that I was talking about that have been playing the game for years, they were all on the same team together. And apparently Bungie did this on purpose because they're the ones that they wanted game capture from. So they wanted them to dominate. So I'm sure that there was fucking journalists getting absolutely destroyed by these people and not having a good time. So
Nice.
yeah. No 2 matches ever play out the same. Dynamic events, variable weather, and unpredictable players, etc. Dynamic weather sounds cool. Customization. Each runner brings their own flair, but serve as foundations to customize your playstyle. Collect implants and equipment to augment your runner, like stacking implants and upgrades to reduce heat buildup to allow you to keep running, jumping, sliding longer. Contracts are a ingenious incentive to finish contracts you accept for permanent upgrades to your stats and precious items like grenades, shields, inventory expanding backpacks, etc. to your market. The bigger your market, the better your minimum loadout becomes.
This is where we start getting into the territory of like, I wish there was like a gameplay deep dive on this. Like,
yes.
If that gameplay overview was like 15 minutes instead of 5, like,
yeah,
I don't see the harm in that. I think it would go a long way.
Yeah, show us like what the early game looks like what happens when you're picking your loadout and going in, like what's that look at like
exactly
for the first time.
Absolutely. Yep. Why do I care about bringing the stuff back?
Right.
Aside from like, I now have my next match, I have an advantage. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yep. Contracts provide valuable direction, but bring welcome diversity and add a precious hit of semi-permanent progression. Prestige cores are rare items that can really push the boundaries. For example, Glitch has an upgrade that turns double jump into triple jump for more maneuverability. I know another runner has an ability that makes them sprint and stuff longer. Another rare item is a backpack that turns you invisible while interacting with containers. Very useful when everyone on the map is hunting you. That is huge. Each match feels like the most important one ever with high stakes, surprisingly challenging AI enemies that were much, much better at surrounding and overwhelming the players than the vast majority of AI enemies found in other games.
This is where, like, how do I say this? The first time I played DMZ was at one of these like behind closed door. Not DMZ. I'm so sorry. Delta Force, behind closed doors. It felt like this. It felt like I'm playing one of the most important things right now. Like this is going to revolutionize this genre of gaming. This fucking rips. And then when the game came out, I was like, oh, this is actually just like a rip off and plays like a lot of other stuff. And I'm not saying this is a red flag or anything. I'm just saying like,
Yeah.
It sounds good on paper. Let's see how it actually kind of
pans
feels
out.
in the moment.
Yeah, it feels. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, can I say one more thing?
Please.
First of all, I wish I'm going to reiterate. I wish the pre-alpha was closer to the reveal. I wish it was. I mean, it's still soon, but like I wish it was sooner, just so we can see more of it. I also wish you didn't have to join the Discord to sign up. Or if you were going to have that for pre-alpha, I wish the beta was sooner to the pre-alpha. That way, you can still get into the beta without having to go into the Discord to sign up.
You don't have to.
I want less barriers.
You don't have to, actually. The Discord just directs you to a URL where you fill out a survey, and that's it. It doesn't actually, yeah. It's kind of...
Egg on my face, good to know.
Well, no, you're fine. They haven't posted it anywhere, so like that, like you have to go to the Discord to get that link. So your point's still valid.
Okay.
So
well, then give me the link, Dan, because I'm not joining the Discord.
Yeah. And yeah, talking about the AI, I think it's very interesting because some of the AI they're holding back too, because like the compiler is one of the like classic marathon enemies with like the orb in like their chest area, and we haven't seen that at all. And one of the Twitch streamers was teasing that as well, saying like the compiler is really cool. So I'm interested to see like the more boss like enemies like that, see what that looks like. So having a balanced crew helps in exploring the dark and forgotten places in the map, filled with deadly creatures like a species of giant ticks who swarm you frantically. Battles can become frantic as you encounter other crews stalk them across the map, encounter AI enemies to fend off when others come to claim your loot. One preview battle turned into a 9-player free-for-all. The downside could be the reward system, where skilled players enter fresh matches with higher level gear that outmatches less skilled players, though Bungie says it has gone out of its way to try and make it where a poorly equipped squad can still stand a chance if they play well. Even if you die, you can still get upgrades, improve your reputation with factions, advance in perk trees, etc. by completing various quests, looting chests, or fulfilling specific objectives, which unlock new bits of story and can grant perks like buying slightly better gear from vendors. The world...
Hold on, real quick.
Yep.
What is the thing in Call of Duty everyone hates? Matchmaking. What am I thinking of?
Skill-based.
I'm blanking.
Skill-based matchmaking.
Skill-based matchmaking.
This is a good time to say that this game does not have SBMM, and instead the ranking is, I think what they were doing is how long
Player
you've
level.
spent playing the player. Yeah, player level in time. Yep.
Which is interesting because, yeah, it could be interesting because there could be a very bad player that has a lot of time, and then that could put into a opposite issue.
Yeah.
So
This is the thing where we
as
don't
well.
know how meta progression works. Can you be a high level player that has no gear? Does your gear?
that's a good point.
Can you only bring it? Like, this is the thing. We still don't know how much, like how serious of an extraction shooter is. Because like, to use DMZ as an example, DMZ technically was an extraction shooter, but you and I know, Dan, because you and I played it a lot. We had fun with it.
Yeah.
There was no real stakes. If you lost everything you had, you could start up the next match and not really be at that much of a disadvantage.
Right.
So we don't know if Marathon is like that, or if it's more like Tarkov, where it's like, no, if you don't have anything, you're going with a pistol and no body armor and no backpack. And so like, that's the thing that we still need to find out. And as Christian was saying earlier, right, like these are the types of things that we want from the next reveal that we maybe should have gotten this one. Because if player level is totally irrelevant to what gear you have, then it unfortunately won't do a whole lot. However, if it is, then this could be a cool way to balance matches.
We do know a little bit about this because so this article that I was reading just said that Bungie was trying to make it so that if a team of 3 new players come into the match, they still stand a chance. However, I will tell you from all the podcasts that I've listened to of all the people that have been playing the game, they said that the starting weapon is like absolute dog shit, and like you can literally drop into the map and find literally any weapon, and it's gonna be immensely helpful to you. The starting weapon is basically useless, is what they were saying. And also the backpack size, that's another point of feedback that they gave. The backpack size is extremely small to the point where it's like absurd for the starting character. So if you drop into a match, you're gathering like, I can't remember the exact number, but you're gathering like four things, and then you got to extract because you're out of space. Like, and yes, you can swap out with other things, but still, it's like it's not a lot of space for you to jump in, I guess.
Hey, Ro, can I tell you something?
Please.
This is gonna be us when the Kirby Air Riders reveal gets its
1000%.
overview. It's gonna be you and me going through Shinobi's list.
Yeah, that's a 10 out of
1000%.
10. Right?
Okay,
Yeah.
enough.
No, it is. It's a 10 out of 10 game.
We'll see. We'll see.
Oh
I'm
my.
excited. It'll be a 10 out of 10 in my heart. I'm sure the list will be a lot shorter though.
Fair enough.
All the city trial changes. We don't know.
You're right. Sakurai has been cooking for a while.
I'm with you guys. That's why I drafted it. I believe in them. Kirby Air Riders.
God damn it.
The world Bungie has built is every bit as beautiful as it is creepy and dystopian, and there are moments that are where they are satisfyingly hinting at the events of the Marathon trilogy from the 90s, though what little I saw did only slightly more than pay lip service to the world. It uses the seasonal reset model like in Diablo 4, where players are stripped of their loot and progress at the end of each season to mix things up with new content and new meta. The game is designed to get you killed. Bungie expects average exfiltration rates to be comfortably below 50%. You will lose a lot, and losing hurts a lot. Extracts are snapshots of this unpredictability. That white knuckle countdown may become a gut punch defeat, an unforgettable clutch, a desperate last-second dive into the portal as your downed allies watch in envy and horror, or an unnerving anticlimax. It's not always a pleasant one, but it is a strong emotional hook. Some previews were worried about variety and weren't impressed with the objectives in the alpha, like hunting the computer monitors on the map, sprinting over, marking drop ships, sprinting over and over, repeating, though random events help spice things up. There is not a 20 map game. Sorry. This is not a 20 map game. That was weirdly worded. Says Bungie. Map design does have that sticky battle royale quality of generating memories, though. Still worried about 3 to 4 medium-sized maps might not be enough. I don't know that it... We're talking about medium-sized maps. We're talking about a different scale than like a multiplayer shooter, like, you know, Call of
That's the
Duty.
thing. These words don't really mean anything until we actually feel.
Yes.
And I was gonna say this earlier, but you guys already really hashed it out. When it's like complaining about 3 maps, it's like, well, that doesn't
Right.
mean anything. We don't know how big the maps are.
Exactly.
Right.
Bungie's verbiage on updates sounds like possibly 1 new map a year, just like Christian said, and refreshing existing ones in between, which could work in its favor, pushing players to really learn maps, but they will hold up over hundreds of... Oh, how will they hold up over hundreds of hours? He missed the how there. Fights are decided by gun skill, clever ability use, map awareness, how strong your shield is, how many healing supplies you have, etc. For example, if you have 1 bar of shield and the enemy has 4, you'll lose in a 1v1, but change it up with powerful grenades, status effects like toxic or overheat, and backpacks are transformative. And one more negative that I saw that people were talking about was how the game treats items transferring hands from one another. So there's only a certain number of times that items can transfer from person to person. I don't know the exact number on that, which makes sense in an extraction shooter to have that. However, it doesn't feel great. And I agree with some of the Twitch streamers that were saying this. It doesn't feel great in the circumstance where you're in a fight with someone that has a gold shield and you're like, man, I just have to kill him and I get this gold shield. You kill him and then you actually open the backpack and you see the gold shield and then you see it disappear in front of you. Like if it's like the fourth one or whatever the number is, I can't remember. If it's that number, it just disappears in front of you and you have to watch it disappear, which is like, that's not a very good experience.
Could be a good thing.
Is it?
I'm curious to see. You mentioned there, Dan, in an extraction shooter, this is kind of a good thing. I'm wondering where that's coming from because I don't think that is a good thing.
Wait, did I say it was a good thing?
Right? It's a good thing.
Okay, I could be. Yeah, maybe I misheard. I don't know. In a loot-based extraction game, you want to have the loot that you earned, regardless of how many people have touched it before. This, to me, is only a bad thing. This sounds like it's overbalanced and might be one of my gripes with the game if this is still in there when it comes out. I don't care if you're the fourth person that's picked up this AK. If I kill you, I want that AK that you have because I've killed you and now I'm going to take the loot from you. So if there's a limit to it, I don't think that's.
I think the issue
that's not very popular this is the first I'm hearing of it in a big extraction game. That's not something that I'm aware of.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that it wasn't a thing, but I think the issue
definitely not a thing.
The issue is transferring stuff to other friends or stuff like that.
That's what I was thinking.
Yes, absolutely.
Again, but
also who cares? I guess
yes. This is part of the game, right? Like, a good example is Ryan and I playing Tarkov. And hold your horses, Dan. As somebody who's played a lot of extraction,
I'm hearing.
I got a little bit of expertise in this area.
Well, no,
so part of the thing with Tarkov is, again, Tarkov is much. I'm assuming that Marathon will be more casual than Tarkov, so it's not a 1-to-1 comparison. But in Tarkov, you can run into situations where you're really low on gear and you're fucked. And what happens in that situation is, say I'm playing with Ryan, and we go, all right, let's go into a raid. I'm going to bring in mags and ammo and bloody blah. Don't worry. Then we both load into the match. I drop it for you. There you go. So again, in a loot-based game, sharing and managing and even exploiting loot is all part of the game, and it adds to the depth. The more you take away the options for players to manipulate, exploit, whatever, the more you take away from the depth of that mechanic. And again, in an extraction-based game, loot is the main mechanic. You might not think about it. You might think that the shooting is the most important. This is the most important, but it's not. When it comes to an extraction shooter, as again, Dan, you and I found out with DMZ, which had very lackluster loot. Loot is the driving force of an extraction shooter for its longevity and for how you manipulate and use that. So to me, this is a red flag.
So to be clear, this is only for weapons and shields specifically. This isn't for like ammo or like grenades and that kind of stuff. Personally, I'm not dead set on this, but like personally, I think that if you're going to play an extraction shooter, part of the allure to it is going in, dropping in, and earning your weapons and your gear that you want to drop in with. Like, I don't personally necessarily like the idea of somebody just playing a shitload of hours and then just dropping all of their loot for their friends to pick up all the best guns and shields and that kind of stuff. Personally, I hear what you're saying, but like I don't think that makes sense in terms of like the game's overall health, because you're encouraging one person who plays a shitload and maybe they have a few friends that can't play as much as them and they get all the best gear because their one friend plays hundreds of hours.
But those players don't become better with that gear though, right? Like if there's not good at the game, they're still
I would
not
argue
good at the
they
game.
do. I would argue they do with the best gear for sure.
They don't get better. No, not at all.
What do you mean they don't get better? They have
Well, I
better
guess shields they
Their
would,
skill
but
doesn't change.
the skill, yeah,
Right.
sure.
I'm not talking about their skill though. I mean, the skill is a factor that isn't determinable. Like you can't compare two different people's skill. I'm just saying like in terms of having a level balanced playing field, not necessarily
And
that
that's the
someone's
thing. And that's fair. Like this is one of those things where I'm not saying there's one right way or one wrong way, but when it comes to an extraction shooter, like this is the thing. You can't. They're inherently unbalanced because the whole point of the game is to get into a map that has different loot, different weapons, different levels of shields scattered around it. Try to find the best one and get out alive. Like balance is not really.
I agree
I
with
think
you.
we're losing more than we're gaining if we're overbalancing that.
I agree with you, but you should have to earn that. Like I don't agree.
Well, I want to earn it by killing you and taking the gun off of you, but then if it disappears because it's already touched hands 3 times, and that's kind of.
I agree with
that,
you, but
that would turn me off as a player if I'm seeing stuff like that. When it is
And
like
I'm waiting to
it's a
see
loot-based shooter.
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm out yet. I'm just saying as somebody who has put hundreds of hours into extraction shooters, I'm
right. But that doesn't.
This is cause for concern.
I hear what you're saying, but like you saying that your experience with extraction shooters doesn't necessarily mean that one thing's right or wrong. Escape from Tarkov isn't like the Bible, for instance, of extraction shooters. Don't take this as me pressing you. I'm just saying like just because another game in the genre doesn't do it or does do it doesn't necessarily mean it's the best way to go about it one way or the other.
No, my concern is that from what I know, this is the first game in the genre to do it. Of all the different extraction shooters, none of them have a limit on loot. So that's why I'm saying it's a swing. It's
on
it's
weapons
new.
and shields specifically.
On weapons and shields specifically. It's a big swing and it might not work. And it might rub a lot of extraction people, not necessarily Tarkov. It could be Arena Infinite. It could be, what's the Chinese knockoff one that we played for 2 days and then gave up on? Delta Force, right? It could be any of these games. None of them have a limit like that. So I'm just saying it's making me a bit nervous.
First time I ever played Tarkov, I had 2 buddies join with me, and they brought in like, hey, don't worry, we're gonna bring you a backpack, and we're gonna get you like a primary weapon. That way, you're not like just running around naked. And with their help, is how I was able to have a good time that first night.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
So.
Yeah. Would that even happen in
it's part of the experience?
Like,
I'm not gonna tell you guys you were wrong. I definitely hear what you're saying, and that's a valid point. I think if we were to find a middle ground, I think it would feel better if they maybe made it to where the highest level loot you couldn't pass to your teammate somehow. I don't know how you would even do that or how that would work, but like I still believe that the highest level loot you should have to earn yourself. You shouldn't have handed to you by someone else who has possibly played this for hundreds of hours. But like maybe there's like a blue rarity that you could pass to your teammate.
But the thing though, Dan, is that you're arguing against yourself with that though, because if you kill someone that has it, you've earned it, but it disappears.
But your teammate didn't.
But here's the thing, Dan. I want to bring this up just because you keep mentioning this. Somebody who's played hundreds of hours. The idea of an extraction shooter, though, is that you can play. What? Why are you giggling? I'm just listen.
I know, but you keep saying you've played hundreds of hours. That's
No. That's not. Listen, you're saying that you don't like the idea that somebody who's played hundreds of hours of marathon can get gear, really good gear, and give it to their friend. But the whole idea of an extraction shooter is that within one match, you can go in and go to the vault and find the gold thing. So the level to getting the high end gear is already. It's not like Halo where it's a linear progression and you have to grind this many hours and then you unlock the gold shield. The whole point of an extraction shooter is that there's probably a gold shield on the map. It could be your first game that you've ever played of Marathon. You boot in and you find it.
Right, but it could be your 100th. Like that's the point. Like you
right,
don't know when you're gonna get it.
But that's the thing. There's no prerequisite to having to put in time to get that. That's why I'm okay with the idea of somebody dropping it for their friend.
Yes, but the more you play it, the more chance you're going to get that said item. I don't know. I think there's a middle ground there personally. I don't think that it should be all or nothing. I think there's a middle ground that they have to figure out how to strike the balance, because I hear what you're saying and you hear what I'm saying, and I think that there's got to be some kind of middle ground there, because I think both extremes might be too far one way or the other. But
Could be.
We'll see.
Is it launching it's launching in early access though, isn't it?
No, it's releasing in full. September.
Either way,
23rd.
I'm sure there'll be plenty of balance after the game launches. They will
Right.
be looking at metrics and stuff, so.
Yes, they will definitely be adding stuff post.
That'll be one of them when they listen to the streamers.
Yeah.
To be clear, the streamers don't actually hate that feature. They just hate the idea that when you kill someone that has, they were describing specifically when killing someone with a gold shield, that it's not a good feeling thing to walk up to their body and watch the said gold thing disappear.
Right.
So
This one new feature in Bungie's Marathon might just kill the game, and here's everything you need to know.
you heard it here first.
Oh my god, that was perfect in the worst way.
Kirk said, what if you had to hack a digitally locked weapon to earn its use once you killed someone and looted it off of them?
It's an interesting idea, but again, you're still punishing the player who won the fight. Again, like you've done the thing, you've played the game, you've engaged with his mechanics, you've conquered your enemy, and now you're being punished because that enemy just happened to get it off of a couple people before him. I don't know.
Not if it's an in-game resource you gotta farm, you know?
It's true. I mean, that's the thing. We'll wait and see how it feels.
Or
it could totally work.
Or hear me out. Just thought of this idea. You may fucking hate it still, but hear me out. What if you're the player who loots the item, you get instant access to it no matter what. There's no disappear stuff. But if you transfer it to another player or drop it in the world, the next person that picks it up has to play X number of hours before they're able to unlock said weapon. So if it's a blue weapon, you play for 30 minutes. If it's a purple weapon, you play for 1 hour. If you play no, seriously, why are you shaking your head? That would actually that would encourage players to play more of the game as well. And if it's a gold weapon, you play like an hour and a half to unlock the ability to use the item.
This sounds good on paper. I feel like this would be super annoying though in person. And then here's the other thing, Dan. Is I'm only thinking of this too from a back end standpoint. You're gonna have like so many timers on unique in-game items, like for like CPU processing. That's gonna be a lot to keep track of for all these different items.
Unless it's server based.
I mean, sure, but then you run into the problem where there might be like Tarkov, where the servers end up feeling like potatoes. But I thought of something while you were thinking of something, which is just, I feel like if you had to have this, which again, my leaning is still don't have any limits on this. People are going to drop stuff for their friends. Oh, well, that's part of it. But if we wanted to find a compromise, the simplest solution would just be if you drop an item willingly, then it has some sort of thing on it, lock on it, as opposed to you being dead and it being looted from you. Right? That's the main thing. That would be the main differentiator.
Or you saying that going back to the whole listen, going back to the whole ARG nonsense, it puts, like you're saying, drop or hand it over to another player, it puts like some sort of lock on the gun that then the player has to decrypt the gun by doing like a whole, like, I don't know, clue-based ARG type thing where they have to like piece together how to decrypt this gun. I feel like that would be interesting, and it would fit the narrative of what people are saying about the little secrets in this game.
We're assuming you can even drop weapons, can you?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. That's a first.
I believe so.
Don't forget, it's been 10 years of an MMO where you can't trade items.
Also, I've got T-minus 13 minutes before I have to leave, so we should probably stop speculating on
Okay.
the
All right, let's
marathon.
move on.
We all got lost in the weeds there.
Sorry.
We all got lost in the weeds.
Yes. All right. Keurig, good idea though. Priority alpha test details real quick here. The closed alpha begins April 23rd, which is next week, and it's under a strict NDA. No streaming or sharing is allowed. Alpha invites will go out a few days before launch, and priority codes are not instant access. They only increase your selection chances. You must redeem the code on Bungie.net. It's a North American focused test as well. Selected players will receive 2 friend invite codes for priority access as well.
Can I be one of those friends, or you want to just give me the link?
Sure. I mean, if I get one,
Give me the
but
link.
I don't know if
Give
I'm
me
gonna.
the link.
I don't know if I'm gonna get one.
Give me the link.
I'll give you
me
the
the link.
link, but I don't know if I'm gonna get a friend code. I don't even know if I'll get a code. It'd be cool if they prioritize people that like have had an account with them for a
Who
long
bought
time.
4 shirts and didn't open them?
I'm
5
the
shirts.
last one.
5 shirts actually.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Open cellophane or saran wrap Dan.
I actually thought about it for the show
Goddamn.
today, and then I was like, no, I can't. I'll just keep it sealed for now. All right. We got to keep going because we're running behind. I think we're going to skip. We're going to skip the quick bites since we're running really late. One thing I'll also quickly mention is Bungie is revealing the Edge of Fate DLC for Destiny 2, plus the next year of Destiny on May 6th, which a lot of Destiny players were freaking out about Marathon taking away resources from Destiny. That is not the case. The majority of Bungie is still working on Destiny by far. So that will be revealed very soon. Calm down, people.
This will be the one that gets the players back.
All right. Into the news of the week. Last of Us Episode 1 on HBO. We've watched it. Some of us have watched it. Maybe all of us. I don't know. Any thoughts?
It's good. It's good. It's fine. Dan, I think if I had to take a guess, buddy, get ready to buy me some dinner.
I don't think so. I don't think
I think so.
I don't think
so. I'm feeling it.
I actually think the opposite, but go ahead.
It's good. See, this is the problem with people hating on the show, is that it's the same thing as when, The Last of Us Part 2, the game was getting review bombed, where it's like, oh, this is a 1 out of 10. This is a 2 out of 10. It's like, what, the music, the production, the VFX, the makeup, like, what are we talking about here? Like, it's a good show. I do feel it, though, a little bit where I'm watching it, and I'm like, it feels a little bit like a lesser imitation. Like, it doesn't quite. They're kind of softening some of the rough edges with Joel and with Ellie, where, like, I don't know. Is it specific spoilers to get? I guess I won't get into specific spoilers, but they're kind of. There's a lot less. A lot of characters are saying how they feel out loud, as opposed
I've heard
to kind
this.
of like,
I've heard this.
and like Joel is going to therapy, and it's like, that's nice. I don't know if that's really Joel, but that's kind of cool, I guess. It's not. I don't know. It's fine. It's good. I really like Dina. I really like the actress that plays Dina. I continue to think that Bella Ramsey is a good actress. I agree with people saying that maybe she doesn't have the classical look of a heroine. She doesn't really have that look, I guess. I can agree with that, but the problem is that when I'm watching her act, I'm like, I feel like she's a good actor. I feel like she has a lot of range behind her emotions and how deep she gets into it. Like, I can see that in her. So, like, I don't know. I'm not necessarily a Bella Ramsey hater. I feel like it's not taking me out of it. But it does kind of sting a little bit to see Caitlin Dever finally show up, and I'm like, fuck, you should have been Ellie, in my opinion, but that's cool that you're here.
I was just gonna say real quick, my main issue with Bella Ramsey is that she looks the same age as she did in season 1, and she shouldn't, and that's the biggest problem I have. I think you're right though, Gage. I agree. Sorry.
I mean, there's lots of stuff. I didn't see the episode, but like, just to Gage's credit, I mean, this is the show that in season 1 had a scene written where Ellie walks up to like a nearly dead infected and then just stabs it through the brain to showcase like actually she's violent and hateful. We're gonna sow the seeds for season 2.
Right.
It's like, I mean, you could have just waited for season 2 to start doing that if you like. There are lots of things about the show that I found. Again, what you said, like a less, what would you say, an imitation or like a less impactful imitation?
A lesser
like
imitation.
Which is how I felt about season 1 and why I'm not watching season 2 because I don't care enough. I'm too busy thinking about how good The Pit was on HBO.
Fair enough. And that's the thing. If somebody comes to me and says, I'm just not that interested in it, that's a fair thing. It's just that's different to me than saying it's bad TV because it's like, again, I'm watching it and I'm like objectively from like a crew standpoint, from like cinematography, from the music, which again, mostly is Gustavo's. I mean, that's the credit to him, but still the music's there. The VFX and the makeup and the prosthetic design is absolutely insane. And like, that's one of those things where the gamer in me lights up a bit to see the clickers replicated on screen so faithfully and like where it seems like no dime was spared. That's the stuff where it's like it's kind of like a hot and cold when I'm watching The Last of Us, where I feel like some of these scenes are a bit lesser, but at the same time I'm seeing this and it's like as a Halo fan where it's like I was burned by the Halo TV show. I'm seeing this, I'm like, oh, this is so cool to see a clicker that looks like this in like on the screen.
There was an op-ed this week that was talking about like it looks like the best video game adaptations are stories that have nothing to do with the source product and instead are like in-universe stories. And they pointed to Fallout, they pointed to
Fallout is Dan, don't throw your hands up, Dan, because Fallout is still an incredibly faithful. No, that's but it's still faithful. It's still faithful to the lore and to the canon, though.
No. I'm not disagreeing.
Like a 1-to-1, you know.
I'm not disagreeing.
Right? Yeah, but. No, okay, so you're saying.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm saying like that's what I've always said. It's a lot harder to directly translate exactly from the games because you can't help but look at the games themselves. That's what I've always said. I'm not trying to say that the Halo TV series did it great. I don't think that they did it great at all.
Is that why you put your hands up?
No. I put it up because what you said is exactly what I've always said about the adaptations. I'd rather see something new than have something that is directly adapting.
He was onto something. Yeah, because I've seen clips from going around of the season 2 premiere, and I'm like, yeah, this just screams like not for me.
Right.
I enjoyed the first episode. I agree that there were some things that felt a little off, like what Gage mentions about Joel going to therapy. Not that there's anything wrong with therapy. It just felt weird for the character. He does seem, when he got to Jackson, he does seem like a softer version of himself in different ways. So I could see him doing something like that, I guess, to be a better person for Ellie and all that kind of stuff, which is what he was doing. So I to an extent I understand it, but it did seem a little weird just because it wasn't in the game, I guess. But there were a lot of things that were in the game that they did in the episode that I thought were really cool, with like the I forget the location, but the party with Dina, and I thought it was shot for shot, and it's like, oh, this is really cool to see in live action, and how they did that scene a little bit differently again, in ways that I liked and in ways that I thought were like, why did you change this? Just leave it exactly the same. But that's the problem that we run into as Den, and we're all saying like directly doing something that already exists. There's always going to be those comparisons. But all in all, I enjoyed it. I'm excited for the later episodes. I am so confused by the discourse on how Ellie looks. It's so weird to me. I don't understand it because I know it's the exact same people who are saying that Ellie is ugly in the game, and how Abby looks too much like a man in the game, and now she looks like a girl. And now you're complaining that she looks like a girl. I don't understand.
Right. But hold on. Yeah. If you're gonna have looks discourse, it should 100% be about the decision to not have Abby played like more masculine.
Right, but they're complaining about her being feminine now. So you damned if you do, damned if you.
No, right, because that is like a mischaracterization of her.
Right. I agree. I wish she was more masculine and was more buff. I think it was cool in the game. Right. But when we had that in the game, they complained about her being too buff and how are you going to get that
that's
swole in the apocalypse, and now she's not swole in the apocalypse, and then they're complaining about it. So I don't understand.
You can't, but you can't base your argument on those types of people, because no matter what, there's gonna be something. There doesn't matter what, it's always gonna be something, right? So I think it is interesting to ask, like, why did they make her less buff in the show? Did they feel like it was wrong to do that in the game? Because I agree with you. Like, I thought that was interesting and made her, like, that's what separated her from Ellie so much, is that she's a character who's like built up of determination. If you want to get into like the nitty gritty of, is that body attainable in the post-apocalypse? Like, okay, well, now you're being lame and you're being a wet blanket. Like, this is a show about zombie fungus. Like, let's not get into the nitty gritty. But
They're
like,
not zombies, they're infected.
oh, they're infected, whatever.
You want to pull the logic card out, huh?
Well, I'm just saying, like, it sucks because, like, that's, as a, when you saw Abby in the game, her physique was a way to symbolize this is somebody who is like determined and is focused and is driven. And so, like, when they decided not to do that in the show, I was weird, because I thought that was like intrinsic to her character. I'm not somebody who's saying like, oh, this is lame because she's. Yeah, I'm not just hating the hate. It's just interesting. I'm wondering why they didn't have her bulk up a little bit.
No matter what they do, Asmongold's gonna complain. So
that's true. So guess what? Stop watching Asmongold.
Oh my gosh.
Jesus. You said that, and I pictured Omnigul from Destiny. Asmongold.
Bungie pilled.
I can't wait to see more Abby scenes, though. Like, Caitlin Devers is in it for like maybe 3 minutes, and I was like, she's bringing the heat already. I can tell she's bringing the heat.
Very interesting. All right, stay tuned for more from The Last of Us from us. Real quick, fantasy draft. There is one update, and that is that Dan acquired Marathon with a bid of $21. I had to make sure I got this shit and not fucking gotten Donkey Konged again like I got last week by Christian. And Christian tried to acquire Game Marathon with a bid of $13.
But then he almost didn't remember. He thought he didn't want it.
I did, but I forgot because we went to the casino on Saturday. I was gonna knock it down to $5.
Oh,
happens.
Wow. Well, I fucking was going all out. I was like, fuck Christian. He's not taking another game from me.
At some point, these dollars to point conversions ratio, kind of like diminishing returns at $25. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see. All right. Do you guys want to skip what you got for me? We can bring it back next week, or do you want to talk about something?
I can say my thing in 60 seconds or less.
Go for it.
I beat Blueprints and entered the post game, and it is in conversation for Game of the Year for my list. Phenomenal game. Cannot believe the way the game opens up once you beat it. Really cool stuff. And then I am playing an embargoed game that I can talk about next Wednesday.
Hell yeah. Ro, do you want to talk about any?
Yeah, I could also be really quick. I talked about last week, or not last week. I wasn't here last week, but last week I mentioned to you guys that I played a game called Haste, which is a procedural generated running simulator sort of game, is the best way that I could explain it. But you're just going through these worlds and you're trying to make these like soft landings. So you're running to escape, like the world is crumbling behind you, and you're trying to reach the portal at the end. You're trying not to hit the obstacles as you're running through each level. And as you're running through these levels, you're gaining speed going downhill, and then you go off a hill and you go into the sky. And as you're falling down, you're trying to land softly and not bump off of a hill, or just like smoothly land on a downhill ramp or something. And you just keep going, gaining speed, collecting like orbs as you're going through the level. And there's like bosses and stuff like that, but that's mainly the gist of it, and just trying to get through the level as fast and as clean as possible. And it's fun. I'm having a good time with it. I haven't beaten it yet, but I'm having a good time with it. And the character design is super cute, the character that you play as. So I'm liking the art style too. But, yeah,
I like the music in that game when, like, if you're falling behind, you'll like the music
it
starts to fade
moving.
away.
Yeah.
You'll hoverboard, get back in it.
Yeah, I didn't mention that it's like a roguelike as well. So you're getting different upgrades as you're going through the level. So there'll be points where you stop running to get some upgrades to better go faster or recover health. So yeah, it's pretty good.
You instantly gained Gage by saying roguelite.
Like, oh.
I'm just kidding. Gage and I have been playing Split Fiction. Very quick thoughts. Really like the game.
I want to hear him.
Oh my god! I already told you I'd play with both. And there he goes. Super fun game thus far. We still have a lot more to go, but I think this game's way better than It Takes Two in terms of story and presentation.
Yes.
So, very fun.
I will say, is it my turn or you have
Go
another
for
game?
it. Yep.
Okay. I will say the one thing that is missed from It Takes Two, which you and I talked about as you're playing, is the mini games.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, at the same time, it's fair to say like that was for those mini games are only there for It Takes Two because that's part of that game, and that's fair. But it just seems like something that when they're experimenting with so many different types of gameplay styles, that I wish that would become that the mini games would just become a trademark of the studio as opposed to a trademark of It Takes Two. Because that's the one thing I felt this game was missing. Aside from that, though, I agree with you. The story is much more engaging to me personally. I didn't think It Takes Two is bad at all, but it felt very much like a family movie that you go and you watch with like your nephews and you have fun, but then you don't think about it ever. Whereas this is kind of like, oh, I'm actually like interested in what's going on. The characters are extremely likable. There was this great segment early on where I was driving a motorcycle and away from cops. And we had to stop the motorcycle from self-destructing. So Dan, while I'm driving and dodging things, Dan was doing like this CAPTCHA mini game where he had to unlock his phone frantically and like
stupid.
And he had to do all these different like CAPTCHA things. It was great. It's fun. Hazelight just continues to be such a joyful, like you can tell. I think I said this when we were playing it. You can tell they love video games.
Yes.
And it's so refreshing to play a game that's just all about video games.
Yes. Good, Christian. Thank you again to everyone joining us live and participating on YouTube and Twitch, as well as podcast services everywhere, including Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, and everywhere else you get your podcasts. Thank you, Ro. Thank you, Christian. Thank you, Gage. I am Daniel, and this has been Podcast PXN, and we are out. Much love, and keep on gaming.
See ya.
Adios.